小朋友，快来这里，来到中文的天地，听故事，玩游戏，快快乐乐的学习。我们一起来努力，汉字变得好容易。在这里，我和你，边玩边学，笑嘻嘻。学习中文，好有趣。
小朋友，你好! Welcome to another lesson of Little Chinese Learners. Thank you for submitting your homework. Let's hear one of your classmates read this book out loud.
1、2、3 1、2、3 1、2、3、4、5 1、2、3、4、5 1、2、3、4、5、6、7 7、6、5、4、3、2、1 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10
That was awesome! So you've learned to introduce yourself in Mandarin. Next, let's learn to introduce our family members. And no one is more important in the family than Mom. Okay, maybe Dad. So let's learn to say Mom and Dad in Chinese. To call Mom in Chinese, we say Mama, Mom. Mama, Mama. It sounds similar to Mama or Mommy in English, right? Let's try it. Great. Mama. Ooh, looks like it's time for another Mandarin secret. The hint of this secret is Mom versus horse. That's an interesting one. This secret is actually similar to another one that we saw earlier. Do you remember how we said speaking Mandarin is a lot like singing? Because the Chinese language has tones, just like musical notes. These tones are quite important, so let's take a closer look at the 4 tones we learned last time. The first tone, 一声, is a high flat tone. It sounds like this. Da. In English, we use a similar tone when we say The second tone, 二声, has a rising tone, so you might notice a slight tilt of your head upwards when you say this tone. It sounds like this. Da. It's similar to when we say what in English. The third tone, 三声, is a little trickier. It follows a checkmark sign by falling down first before going back up. It sounds like this. Da. In English, we use a similar tone when we say well. The fourth tone, 四声, has a falling tone. It sounds so heavy that it must fall to the ground. It sounds like this. Da. And yes, we have something similar in English, and it is my kid's favorite word. No. So why are tones important? Well, do you remember how to say mom in Chinese? Mama, which has the first flat tone. But if you're not careful and you end up using the third tone, ma, you will be calling your mom a horse. Yikes! Don't worry, we'll practice many times so we don't end up upsetting our moms. Next, let's learn to say dad in Mandarin. 爸爸, dad. 爸爸, 爸爸. If you think dad sounds a little like the number 8, 八, you'd be totally right. They have the same sound, but the number 八 has the first flat tone, whereas 爸爸 has the fourth falling tone. 爸爸. Now you try it. Fantastic. 爸爸. That's how we call moms and dads. But there are lots of moms and dads in the world. So we better learn to tell people which one is ours. 我的妈妈 my mom. 我的爸爸 my dad. You already know 我, which means me. And you know mama means mom, while 爸爸 means dad. The new character, 的, is the Chinese word we use to tell a friend that something belongs to us. For example, 我的 means mine. 你的 means yours. 他的 means his or hers. 小天的 means belonging to 小天. Let's practice. 我的妈妈 my mom. 我的妈妈我的妈妈. Can we try that together? Fantastic. Now let's try saying your dad. 你的爸爸 your dad. 你的爸爸你的爸爸. Let's try it. Great job. 你的爸爸. All right. Do you remember our animal friends? 老鼠、小牛、小虎、小兔、小龙. They want to introduce us to their 爸爸、妈妈. So let's go see them.
老鼠的爸爸在家吗？我们去看他。老鼠的妈妈在家吗？我们去看他。叩叩叩，叩叩叩，老鼠的爸爸，老鼠的妈妈，你们有没有在家？
我们都在家。
小牛的爸爸在家吗？我们去看他。小牛的妈妈在家吗？我们去看他。叩叩叩，叩叩叩，小牛的爸爸，小牛的妈妈，你们有没有在家？
他们都不在家。
小虎的爸爸在家吗？我们去看他。小虎的妈妈在家吗？我们去看他。叩叩叩，叩叩叩，小虎的爸爸，小虎的妈妈，你们有没有在家？
我们都在家。
小兔的爸爸在家吗？我们去看他。小兔的妈妈在家吗？我们去看他。叩叩叩，叩叩叩，小兔的爸爸，小兔的妈妈，你们有没有在家？
他们都不在家。
小龙的爸爸在家吗？我们去看他。小龙的妈妈在家吗？我们去看他。叩叩叩，叩叩叩，小龙的爸爸，小龙的妈妈，你们有没有在家？
我们都在家。
Welcome back. Now that we've learned 爸爸, mama, let's help some baby animals find their 爸爸, mama. 小鸡，小鸡的爸爸在哪里？ Where is 小鸡的爸爸？小鸡的妈妈在哪里？ Where is 小鸡的妈妈？小熊，小熊的爸爸在哪里？ Where is 小熊的爸爸？小狮子，小狮子的爸爸在哪里？ Where is 小狮子的爸爸？小猪，小猪的爸爸在哪里？小猪的妈妈在哪里？毛毛虫，毛毛虫的妈妈在哪里？ Ooh, that's a tricky one. 小鸭，小鸭的爸爸在哪里？小鸭的妈妈在哪里？Culture Jam Alert! Culture Jam Alert! It's the ducks we just saw. These are called mandarin ducks because they're found mostly in East Asia. In Chinese, we call them 鸳鸯. If you look closely, you will notice that 鸳鸯爸爸 and 鸳鸯妈妈 look quite different from each other. But unlike other ducks, 鸳鸯are believed to spend their whole lives together. That's why mandarin ducks are frequently featured in Chinese art, poems, and stories to symbolize love and marriage. In modern days, many shops and restaurants will use 鸳鸯to indicate the pairing of two different things, like 鸳鸯锅, where you can have two different flavored hot pots at once, or 鸳鸯茶, which is a mixture of different teas or even a mixture of tea and coffee. And 鸳鸯花, because of the different colored petals found in a single flower. For today's homework, take this worksheet and color in the mandarin ducks. Cut out mama and baba from the bottom and paste them next to the right duck. For the second part of today's homework, look at this picture featuring Hua Hua's family. Send me a recording where you introduce Hua Hua's baba and mama, including their names and how old they are. As an example, I have a picture of Xiao Tian's family here, and this is how I would introduce them. 小天的爸爸叫 Scott. 小天的爸爸42岁。小天的妈妈叫 Jenny. 小天的妈妈38岁。Got it? I can't wait to see your homework. If you have any questions, send me a message or leave a comment below. One of our teachers will try to respond to you very soon. That's it for our lesson of the day. Until next time, 再见!